Welcome, everybody. This is a meeting of the Municipal Council for the County of Annapolis. I'll start with the roll call. District 1.
Bruce Pratt.
District 2.
Brian Fuzzy Call.
District 3 is Alan Parrish, myself. District 4.
Alberto.
District 5. Now, District 6 is Alec Morrison. He's not going to be here today. And I would ask for a motion to excuse him. Should I do that after?
No, right now is good.
Right now, would someone like to move that we provide Mr. Morrison, Councillor Morrison, with an excuse for not attending? It's moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Prout. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Where was I, Councillor? We have District 6. District 7.
David Hudson.
District 8.
Michael Gunn.
District 9.
Wendy Sheridan.
Now, District 10 is Brad Redden. He advised me as well that he would not be able to make it today, so I would ask for a motion to excuse him from attending, moved by Councillor Barteau, seconded by Councillor Longmire. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Where was I? District 11? Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Warden, there is a late addition. Staff is requesting that a document was circulated to your desk just now, a recommendation report. If you could add the approval of AM 2.7.9 COVID-19 proof of vaccination policy / amend AM 2.7.8 COVID-19 response policy.
All right. Well, I don't think any of us actually got that, but I've made a note that there's a recommendation report regarding a COVID policy, and I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, I have.
I'll move that.
I have it here. Does everybody have that? Was it just circulated this morning?
Yes.
And everybody has it on their desk, I take it? Okay. And so Councillor LeBlanc has suggested that that be added to late additions. Are there any other changes to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote for the agenda to be approved as amended. Councillor LeBlanc moves, seconded by Councillor Barteau. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next, the minutes of the last regular council meeting. I'll just pull those up here. The minutes have been circulated of the Municipal Council meeting on August 17th, 2021. Any amendments to the minutes as circulated? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as circulated. Councillor Prout moves, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Now, before we go any further, I do want to make a public statement about the Committee of the Whole meeting last week. The audio was lost, and what happened in that situation was that, as people can see who are watching this, we're in a new location. The Committee of the Whole meeting last week was the first time we were in this location here on the former Cornwallis base. In setting up here for the first time, the connection for the audio didn't connect. And it wasn't realized until after the meeting was over that the connection for the audio didn't happen in this new location. So accordingly, there isn't and will not be any audio available with respect to the Committee of the Whole meeting last week. So Next are councillor comments. District 1.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be able to congratulate the schools in our area, as well as those throughout Nova Scotia, on the successful opening of the 2021-2022 school year. While the COVID numbers have been on the rise in Nova Scotia, schools have not seen any major outbreaks so far, and let's hope that this continues to be the case. I would like to congratulate Bob and Jenny Mann of Wilmot, who on August 28th were able to watch their granddaughter Sarah Goodman and her Team Canada teammates play for the gold at the Junior Pan American Games held in Santiago, Chile. The team defeated Uruguay 1-0 to complete the tournament undefeated and to win Canada's first ever Pan American gold in women's field hockey. The story was covered in the September 9th issue of the Annapolis Valley Register. As for the rest, someone clapping, thank you. It's been a busy time in District 1 on August 29th. Along with the warden and the CAO, I attended a meeting with the RCMP in Bridgetown to discuss issues of concern. On September 13th, I met with the members of the Wilmot and Area Neighborhood Watch for their monthly meeting. And in addition, on September 15th, I attended the Trans-County Transportation Society monthly board meeting, as well as the annual general meeting. Finally, I would encourage residents of the county and outside the county to continue to support our local farmers as the fall harvest season is now in full swing. Thank you.
Thank you. District 2.
District 2 has been fairly quiet, but I did go and give out some checks to the community halls that had put in for grants, and the Margarettsville Wharf Society was very pleased with getting theirs approved, and so wasn't the Community Hall of Forest Glade and the museum in Mount Hanley. So they were very pleased with getting that. I also attended the Middleton Fire Department annual banquet, and it was nice to be able to get together, and it was just a small gathering outside. All we got was a clap of thunder. Rained all around us, but it did have quite a clap of thunder, but we got through it, and it was nice to see the fire department members being honored with little things for their recognition of being on the fire department and their service. So it's a very nice community thing to go to. So thank you.
Well, District 3 doesn't seem to be as exciting a place to live as some of the other districts. But I will say that last Sunday was the beginning of the Clarence Community Market, located in downtown Clarence. And I don't know exactly how long it's going to go along, but Sunday mornings from 9 to 12, if anybody's interested. District 4?
I don't have quite as colorful an intro, but beautiful downtown Moshel has been feeling okay. I have been involved in work on various committee issues, and there's much more to come on each of them, nothing to report at this point. We are in the midst of apple growing season. Please support our local growers. Agriculture is a crucial activity in our county. It's great having activity in the farmers market, getting produce locally grown to the market. Being still under the cloud of COVID, hopefully soon the restrictions still in place due to phase 4 requirements can be lifted, and life's activities will become a bit easier. But it's a waiting game. There have been and will continue to be many challenges the council works through to methodically resolve issues. A lot of time has been and will be devoted to these issues. With students returning to school, I'd like to wish them all a rewarding 2021-2022 season. I'd like to thank my constituents for their support through the challenging times and hope to see more of them out in the community to further discuss current and future developments. Thank you all and be safe.
Thank you. District 5?
So good morning from District 5, and I guess we can all agree that summer is finally in our rearview mirror. It was a wonderful one, and fall is upon us. So I encourage everyone to get out in their communities and check as we see the color of the leaves change, and check out the markets, as many have already said before me. I would like to say that the recipients of the grants in my district were extremely pleased and had sent on their gratitude. There are going to continue to be more vaccine clinics, and although they don't show up in my district, I'm just encouraging everyone to still continue on to consider receiving that vaccine, and if they're questioning it, to seek their family practice or other to give them advice. I did have a citizen in my district, Kimberly Gregory, who struck up a group to provide or collect and provide school resources, backpacks, and clothing, and etc. to many families in need, and so that was wonderful to see. Lots of concern around the former Upper Clements theme park with all of the noise happening on social media and the pictures and videos that circulate. I know we're working hard around that, but my citizens in District 5 have been very concerned. And what else? Yes, and continued conversation around the internet, and are we moving forward? Schools are in, and I remind everyone to be mindful of the buses and young children out there on our streets. Happy fall.
Thank you. District 7?
Yes, I'd like to begin by reporting that there have been a number of thefts and break-ins in District 7 in the past couple of weeks. 4 golf carts were stolen from the golf course, and some storage buildings, including one owned by the county at Jubilee Park, have been broken into. Various items of maintenance equipment were stolen from the county's building. To my knowledge, only 1 golf cart has been recovered, and I have been told that the RCMP only have 1 person of interest in connection with these cases. In light of these occurrences, I would strongly suggest that everyone should take extra care to ensure that things are locked up and locked and not left outside where they could be easily stolen. I have also been receiving a lot of calls from residents asking when South Street is going to be paved. They have safety concerns as people are driving on the wrong side of the road to avoid the areas that have been dug up to replace the water line saddles. Cars are speeding to get around the dug up areas and are basically playing chicken with oncoming cars. It's quite a concern with those citizens. Some have suggested that the street should be made one-way or closed to all but local traffic until the street is repaved. Work on the saddles between the bridge and the start of South Street has not yet been completed. We have not been able to get any kind of a firm date from the Department of Transportation regarding when this street will be repaved, and all they have said is that they were waiting for the new provincial government to schedule the paving project, which is who knows when that may be. Anyway, on a brighter side, I want to note that the Bridgetown Curling Club is holding their annual barbecue chicken dinner this Saturday. The dinner is takeout and costs $18 per plate. You'll get a half a chicken, a baked potato, coleslaw, roll, and a dessert. The West Dalhousie Community Hall is also having a stuffed roast pork dinner this Saturday. Their meal will include stuffed roast pork, dressing, gravy, mashed potatoes, veggies, rolls, and beverages. Dessert will be apple crisp with whipped cream. The cost is adults $4, children ages 5 to 7, $7, and under 5 is free. The dinner is either eat in or take out. Lastly, the Bridgetown community, there is a Bridgetown community cleanup schedule for Sunday, September 26th. Interested people are asked to meet at the former Bridgetown Elementary School at 2 p.m. People attending will be fanned out throughout the community to pick up litter, and they are asked to please wear gloves and good walking shoes. Thank you.
Thank you. District 8?
Good morning. Thank you. District 8 report. Happy fall equinox to all. And I hope you're able to enjoy the bounty from your gardens. The lack of water in Bear River continues to be the theme of communications and meetings I had this month. Like the previous one, a business had to close due to the lack of water supply. As was reported last week, I met with Warden Parrish, CAO Dick, and Jonathan Welch of the Hillsborough Water Society. We are optimistic that the things are moving in a positive direction. I was contacted by a realtor who needed to have a deeper understanding of the water issues before listing a property. As is evident, the situation remains critical to many people. I was approached by a citizen about the lack of affordable housing in our area, which is an issue that is rapidly increasing with the sudden rise in housing prices. Her question was, why are the former barrack blocks in Cornwallis not retrofitted for this purpose? I explained the committee responsible for the development in Cornwallis Park had decided that the properties on the north side of Highway 1 should not be residential. When asked why this was the case, I'm afraid I didn't have an answer, except to say they decided. I suggested she approach the committee or Councillor Morrison for further information, and this is certainly a timely topic. I was happy to represent Warden Alan Parrish in the county at a recent event in Annapolis Royal, commemorating the granting of land in New Scotland 400 years ago. The event named Beyond Goa Dikdek, something like that, evolved into an example of reconciliation and acknowledged that the historical footsteps that brought us all together, both here and as a country. The three-day event was expertly organized, was attended by the Lieutenant Governor, left with him apparently, Governor, and representatives from many local groups, was extremely thoughtful in tone, well attended and enjoyed. I greatly appreciated the pipe band, the bannock making lessons, the fusion of multicultural dance. My hat goes off to the organizing committee. It was impressive. Thank you.
Thank you. District 9?
I do not have a whole lot to report, but I am going to be attending an accessibility meeting in Utah on Thursday evening at 6:30. Pre-registration is required, so I just want to put that out there. So the information is on our website. So looking forward to seeing people there. Thank you.
Thank you. And District 11?
Oh, yes, right. Well, happy last day of summer. I guess I would have to say that we had a great summer from what I've seen with the residents walking around, talking to their neighbors, going to visit family that they haven't seen in a long time. We are definitely going into a fall of numbers going up for COVID, so hopefully we won't go too far up or put us in the back, I guess in the back of the bus. So basically, I'm happy to see all the students going to school. Everyone seems to be happy. I know my grandkids are. They think it's fantastic. They're on a social event, and which is exactly what this COVID has done. Students have not been able to be social, so it does help them in their mental health as far as that's concerned. I have to report that for whatever reason, I don't get too many calls about theirs this summer. Either they're relocated or they decided there was a better crop somewhere else. But I do have an offset of a huge number of deer. And so they seem to be coming out at the wrong time to be hit by vehicles. So in any case, hopefully people are careful of them so that they don't get hurt. On the other side, the Three Rivers Community Center is having a turkey supper Thursday. And it's, you call in or you text 902-760-2471 for a time for a pickup, and the food is delicious. So this is their second event this year, which is excellent, which helps them to raise money to do improvements with the hall. Other than that, everything seems to be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll move along to business arising from the minutes. There's nothing there. So we'll go to new business. First item is the recommendation report regarding the renewal of temporary borrowing resolution 2122-0 for the telecommunications project of $13 million. Let me just pull that up here. On page, well, the recommendation report doesn't seem to be numbered, but I have it in front of me. Deputy Warden, do you have that page?
Yes, I do, sir.
Would you like to read the recommendation?
Recommendation that municipal council authorize the warden and clerk to sign the temporary borrowing resolution renewal for the telecommunications/internet project attached.
Is there a seconder to that? Is there a seconder to that? Councillor Hudson seconds the recommendation, the motion. Discussion? Councillor Longmire?
Thank you. So I know back a fair bit ago we had mentioned about the CTI. I'm just wondering if that funding ever came through or if we received that.
Mr. Dick?
I'll let you answer that.
Ms. Ord, would you respond, please?
Not today. We haven't received any funding from Develop Nova Scotia or CTI that I'm aware of.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make out what you said, and I'm sure other people could.
We haven't received any funding yet from
We haven't actually received the money yet?
No.
Was that your question?
It is.
Okay, thank you.
So do
Yes, Councillor LeBlanc?
we have to apply for that again, or do we have to write in again?
Ms. Ord,
No, as far as we know, they have approved it, and it's just a matter of time to wait for it.
So we've been waiting.
I'm sure.
How long have we been waiting so far?
Maybe a year, if not longer.
Yeah.
do you want to add anything?
Sure, I'll add one thing is the funding that originally was applied for. The approval is about $300,000 less than what was originally applied for.
Okay, any other questions or comments with respect to the motion on the floor? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next is the recommendation report regarding the Annapolis Administration Building roof repair, and that's on page 6 of 23 of the package. There is a recommendation here from staff. Deputy Warden, would you like to read the motion?
The recommendation to recommend that municipal council approve the expenditure of $89,398 plus HST from general operating fund to repair the original section and replacement of the 1980s section of the Annapolis Administration Building roof.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Longmire seconds. Discussion? Deputy Warden?
Thank you. I do wonder why we're putting a lot of money into that building that I think the original part of it was built. I'm guessing back when I was in about grade 3, they built that building, so that would put that about 1964, 65, maybe 67 project at that. And I always query why Annapolis County is in Annapolis Royal. Thank you.
To respond to your question, Deputy Warden, the report says that there's been water damage and water pooling on the floors after a rain event.
And this has just recently happened?
Pardon me?
This has just recently happened?
I'm just reading from the report. If you would like to ask staff any questions.
Go through you, Warden, the staff, I guess.
Mr. Dick, can you respond?
Yeah, certainly I can respond. So there has been water events, certainly since I've been there at least. I can't speak to what happened before, but there's a big bucket outside of my office door, and there's probably about 4 or 5 inches of water in it. We were downstairs last Thursday, just looking at, the thought of maybe renovating parts of the facility, and we could see water damage in the basement, so it's leaking right through the ceiling. And the roof is now starting to separate from the building. So even, I certainly respect your comments about not putting money into an old building, but it doesn't look like we'll be moving anywhere in the short term. It's just really not a safe environment if we don't do those immediate repairs.
Thank you.
Yes, Councillor LeBlanc?
The improvements certainly need to be done because of the comment you just finished saying. My question is it going to be a flat roof as before, or is it going to be fixed?
It's going to be a flat roof. Just repairs to the existing roof. And it's both sides of the building, the new and the old part.
So this is not for the entire whole building?
Yes, it's for the whole building.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, when is it going to be done? I forgot that. Is it soon?
Yes. The expectation will be done before the end of November.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next is a recommendation report regarding the Bridgetown Community Recreation Association funding request.
Councillor Hudson.
Oh, okay. Thank
Can
you.
you state your interest, please, Councillor Hudson? Thank you.
There is a recommendation from staff. Deputy Warden, would you like to put that motion on the floor, please?
Recommendation to recommend that municipal council approve the expenditure of $2,758.70 plus HST included to be funded from the Max Young Reserve Fund to reimburse the Bridgetown Community Recreation Association the cost to replace the clock controller located at the Bridgetown Arena.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Connell seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Would someone ask, thank you, Councillor LeBlanc.
Yes.
This capital projects that approve funding for the following capital projects. We didn't do that, did we?
No, that's one we didn't do. That's what we have to
So is this worded incorrectly?
That was all approved, but this one was over. This one was over budget. This one was over budget. We never did this one. So that's why we ended their whole budget was 149,000.
Okay.
It came slightly under budget.
So that should stay in there, even though we didn't do it.
Right.
Okay. All right, we're down to reports and recommendations from Committee of the Whole. These are on page 10 of 23 of the package. Deputy Warden, would you like to begin at the top?
Proposed intermunicipal service agreement pilot in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole. I move that Municipal Council authorize the CAO to work with other CAOs and the IMSA working group solicitor in the preparation of a draft pilot IMSA with Annapolis County's participation in both the Valley Regional Solid Waste Resource Management Authority, the King's Transit Authority components, as described in the September 1st, 2021 Committee of the Whole agenda, subject to the draft agreement being ratified by Municipal Council at a future date.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Longmire seconds. Discussion? Councillor Connell?
I just still don't agree that we participate in the service agreement with the transit. I think that's should be a separate issue, but I agree that our CAO has to be at the table to find out the details about it and bring it back to us. So I just wanted that to be known.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor LeBlanc.
I do have the same concern. However, I do wish our CAO to be there.
Okay. Deputy Warden?
Thank you. Ditto. I agree that the CAO should be there, but I'm not in favor of these IMSAs. Thank you.
Councillor Barteau?
I guess I'll get on record reflecting the same comments.
Yes. Any other comments? Councillor Prout?
At the risk of redundancy, I think it's good to have CAO there. It'll be interesting to see what is reported back to us after this pilot program is finished. So, with that caveat, we should approve this.
Councillor Sheridan?
So the King's Transit is an important part of our study because we were going to recommend that the CEO do a study on our own. So I think it's important that he be there for that part because we do have large buses that we probably don't need on the road at this time. Something good to come out of the study.
Thank you. Any other questions of Councillor Longmire?
And I will finish up, thank you. I would have to agree with every other councillor who has spoke here. Certainly when Councillor Connell spoke and said, with regards to the King's Transit, I would have to agree. I'm not necessarily in favor of that portion of it, but our CAO does need to sit at that table and bring back the information that we need to hear in order to move forward, whatever way we do.
Anybody else? I think that's pretty well everybody. Seeing none, no other comments, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next.
Aye. Road naming process for Snow Lake Keep Homesteading Community, Arlington West. I move in accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole that Municipal Council initiate the road naming review process to name the road providing access to Snow Lake Keep Homesteading Community in Arlington West.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Hudson seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next.
Aye. AM-1.3.8, letters of support and acknowledgement policy amendment pursuant to 7 days notice having been given at Committee of the Whole. I move that Municipal Council amend AM-1.3.8, letters of support and acknowledgement policy by updating section 3.1 and removing section 3.2. And you can see the attachment.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Connell seconds. I see that my suggestions about the wording of 3.1 that I made at Committee of the Whole have been incorporated in the draft before us, so I appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next.
B, 4, Annapolis County Ground Search and Rescue Request for Registration. I move, pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, that Municipal Council accept the request from Annapolis County Ground Search and Rescue to be registered as an emergency services provider for the County of Annapolis.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Sheridan seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next.
5, capital projects, Basin View. In accordance with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, I move that Municipal Council approve funding the following capital projects for work at Basin View Center from the operating reserve, totaling $147,002.57. Pool and building assessment, geotech investigation of soil, east wall investigation, and roof and harness guarding.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Longmire seconds. Discussion? Councillor Bartow?
Is this all items from the spring that was prior to the sale that we committed to that invoices weren't paid? This isn't anything new added to.
Did you get that?
These are for projects that were approved by council, I'm going to think probably December, January, and February. So with the exception of the 4th project, the other 3 projects were completed prior to the sale. And we decided not to do the 4th project because we were over budget on the other 3.
Okay, so we can amend the motion by scratching the harnesses?
Well, the 4th one was approved, an approved project from council. It's just that by the time we got final costs on the other 3 and we had sold the building, we elected that it wasn't in our interest to do that project anymore.
Okay, so there's nothing to pay on that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Councillor LeBlanc?
I was just wondering, with these geotech and the assessment of the pool and the wall and everything there, were these documents passed on, or are they in our safe?
We provided those documents to the purchaser as well as to the former YMCA. They had access to those documents as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Now, before we go to the next 2, I'm going to invite the clerk to answer the question I asked her when I saw the agenda as to why we're dealing with this as reports and recommendations, and then we're dealing with it again under new business.
So there were recommendations out of Committee of the Whole for the West Paradise Community Hall Heritage Registration and the Easton House Heritage Registration. Those come before you as recommendations from Committee of the Whole. Under new business, you will see further actions that have to be taken after you approve the recommendation out of Committee of the Whole. So we had to split it up so that it fell in the correct order for you to be able to address it in the right order.
Thank you. So, Deputy Warden, if you could proceed with the next recommendation from Committee of the
Number
Whole.
6, West Paradise Community Hall. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, I move that Municipal Council consider for registration as a municipal heritage property the entire West Paradise Community Hall property, identified as the deed reference as Book 85, page 39, being approximately 18,190.6 square feet in area, located in the community of West Paradise.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next.
Number 7, Eason House. I move, pursuant to the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole, that Municipal Council recognize the automatic designation of the Eason property, that the entire Eason House property, identified as document number 848233444, being approximately 2.53 acres in area, located in the community of Lakio, be registered as a municipal heritage property.
Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Warden, if I can interject for a moment, please. There was also a PAC recommendation that did not get on the agenda but needs to be addressed. If you could allow me to look it up and explain it at another point in the meeting.
Okay, we can maybe have a break and you can talk to me
because
about
I
it.
have to look it up in another
Okay.
section. Thank you.
So under new business, recommendation regarding West Paradise. And so let me just find that. Here we are. Page 12 of 23. Deputy Warden, would you like to read the motion?
The recommendation is, upon receipt of a favorable recommendation from the Committee of the Whole, that Municipal Council register the entire West Paradise Community Hall property, identified as deed reference book 85, page 39, / being approximately 18,190.6 square feet in area, located in the community of West Paradise, for inclusion in the Annapolis County Registry of Heritage Properties, and that a notice of recommendation be completed in accordance with the Heritage Property Act and Annapolis County C5 Heritage Property Bylaw requirements, and council hold a public hearing with the applicants on October 19th, 2021, with a location to be determined.
Seconder for that? Councillor Hudson seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Next is the Eason House, and that is found, let me see.
11, 18.
What is it? 18 of 23, thank you. Deputy Warden?
Yes, sir. Recommendation. Upon receipt of a favorable recommendation from the Committee of the Whole, that Municipal Council register the entire Eason House property, identified as document number 848233444, / being approximately 2.53 acres in area, located in the community of Lakio, be considered for inclusion into the Annapolis County Registry of Heritage Properties, and that a notice of recommendation be completed in accordance with the Heritage Property Act and Annapolis County C5 Heritage Property Bylaw requirements, and council hold a public hearing with the applicants on October 19th, 2021, with a location to be determined.
Is there a seconder for that? Councillor LeBlanc seconds. Discussion? Councillor Barteau.
That's the same date as the Paradise Hall public meeting?
Yes.
Should they be the same?
Yes.
Go ahead.
They're each public hearings. They will probably both be very quick, but they are,
Okay.
this is normal.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. We'll go next to the late addition. Actually, no, there's another, the late addition is the recommendation report regarding the COVID policy.
Yes.
Chance to read this.
Let me just take a minute here, if you don't mind. This was circulated just at the beginning of the meeting today to council, it's only an issue of giving 7-day notice. So I'm prepared to deal with it today because we're just giving 7-day notice. We're not finalizing it today. Has everybody had an opportunity to review it?
No.
I think what we'll do is we'll leave this till after lunch, if you haven't had a chance to review it, and we'll either take a break or deal with it after lunch. It's 10 to 11, actually. The other items on the agenda are in camera, and the clerk had another issue that I need to talk to her about. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a break, 10-minute break now, and I invite all of you to review this recommendation report on the COVID policy, and I'm going to speak to the clerk about the other issue, and we're going to come back at 11 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We're all back. We had a break to allow council to review the COVID-19 vaccination policy. And there's a recommendation here that's part of the report from staff. And since this wasn't circulated in the package, and we want the public to know everything we're doing, I'm going to ask the deputy warden to move the recommendation, and then I'm going to ask Ms. Campbell, who's the I don't know if author is the right word, the person who prepared the draft report, to read the important sections of the vaccination policy so that it's public. And again, this is to give 7-day notice if approved by council. We could have done it at Committee of the Whole, which is the normal process in October, because we could then give the 7-day notice for the October council meeting. But because of the interest in the community with respect to our policy, we thought we would deal with it today and read it so that it's out there, and proceed and formalize it at the October council meeting. So having said that, I'll ask the deputy warden to read the recommendation.
A recommendation is to give 7-day notice for municipal council to approve AM-2.7.8 COVID-19 proof of vaccination policy as circulated. To give 7-day notice for municipal council amend AM-2.7.9 COVID-19 response policy as circulated.
The clerk has suggested we deal with them in two separate motions, so I'll ask for a seconder to the first motion with respect to the proof of vaccination policy, seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Now, as I said, this policy was drafted by staff, and I'm going to ask Ms. Campbell to read what's before us with respect to the draft policy with respect to mandatory vaccination. Go ahead.
So first I'll give you a very brief background on what's taken place over the past few weeks. And that is that there has been a great deal of consultation through the Association of Municipal Administrators. Approximately 30 municipalities have been participating in having a template developed that would be used as a basis for developing policies for all of the municipalities, provided some uniformity and best practice. And we were receiving the advice of Noelle Martin, who is actually our labor lawyer in regards to this. So about a week ago, that template was issued through the Association of Municipal Administrators. And this new policy that is before you is our adaptation of that template. So it's fully vetted. Even after I did the adaptation, I sent it to Ms. Martin to make sure that I was on the mark with what was intended in accordance with her advice for this. The essence of what is in the policy is contained in the process, which is part 5. And I will just, with your indulgence, just read a few of those sections, and that will put it on the public record as well as sharing it with you as a group. So 5.1 states the county requires all employees to be fully vaccinated, in brackets, have both injections of one of the recognized vaccines, in bracket, against COVID-19. 5.2, employees must provide confirmation of their vaccination status by providing an acceptable copy of the Nova Scotia COVID-19 vaccination record or other acceptable record if the employee was vaccinated outside of Nova Scotia. 5.3, if an employee is not vaccinated, the employee must disclose in writing to the employer the reason for not being vaccinated. The employer recognizes that it has a duty to accommodate employees who cannot receive the vaccine for any reason protected by human rights legislation, such as physical disability or religion. The employer will review the information and, after consultation with the employee, take alternative actions such as requiring that the employee undergo testing at a regular interval to be determined by the employer, restricting access to the workplace, placing the employee on an unpaid leave of absence, and/or taking some other steps so that the employee does not pose a hazard to other employees or anyone else with whom they would have contact through their work. 5.4, the employer will provide employees with self-administered rapid test kits. Any employee who tests positive on a rapid test will be required to provide confirmation of a negative PCR test before being allowed to be in the workplace. And 5.5, vaccinations will be only one part of the employer's steps to maintain a safe workplace. The County of Annapolis may continue to implement other measures, such as wearing a mask and physical distancing, even if the province discontinues those steps. And finally, 5.6, the county may, at its discretion, apply this policy to contractors who are working on municipally owned premises.
Thank you very much. Discussion amongst council. Councillor Longmire.
Thank you. I'm wondering when we speak of the self-administration rapid testing kits, that they are available by the employer, who has been trained or advised on site as to proper application use of those kits to make sure that they're done properly as opposed to just handing it off to someone and assuming that it gets done?
Ms. Campbell, can you respond to that?
Sure. And I have provided a brief explanation of that in the discussion section of the recommendation report, and I appreciate that you've only had this on your desk for a short period of time. We, the county, have been approved as a COVID-19 workplace screening site by the Nova Scotia Chief Medical Officer of Health. As such, the county will have self-administered rapid testing kits available for all employees for asymptomatic testing. And all of the information that has been provided to us through public health, and councillors, by the way, can, starting today, make requests for up to 2 test kits a week, and we will make sure that you get those. So there is a training process that Kate and I have gone through, and there are information sheets. We will provide a brief upfront training for anyone who wishes to do self-administered tests. And there's also a directions sheet that you take with you that will be part of the kits that you receive. And that video is also available online should you wish to review that.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson?
Yes. Just another further question regarding 5.4. Will employees be required to take a test periodically or just when they have symptoms?
So the program that we became part of is primarily a voluntary testing. However, it's slightly different for people who do not provide proof of vaccination. It becomes a requirement for people that not provide a proof of vaccination. So they will be required to test and report twice weekly until such time as they provide proof of vaccination.
Other questions or comments? Councillor Bartow?
Just going back to the first page again, part of the question's answered, but there's a line at the end of the sentence on the second to the last paragraph that says not required to report negative test results. And later on it says testing, I can't remember, I only got halfway through this before we started the session back up, so I can't comment on everything, but I did pick up on that, and I was just wondering why it says it doesn't have to be reported.
So just to clarify, there are different sections. So people who are voluntarily tested who are already vaccinated, if you take a test, you only have to report it if you have a positive. But if you have not shown proof of vaccination and you are under the mandatory requirement to do testing, you must report the results of all tests. So it's that distinction between the people who have provided proof of vaccination and the people who have not.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Longmire?
Thanks. When it comes to, I know we had experienced through COVID work from home situations, just wondering, are we still going to be offering that flexibility if someone does test?
Actually, yes, and when we move on to the next motion, you'll be moving into the policy that has been our COVID response policy, which outlines all of those criteria. That does remain. So there is an amendment when we get to the second motion, a very brief amendment to the second one, but this will be something that you'll be able to review prior to giving your final approval, and it does in that section. I should also note that we will be having an accompanying standard operating procedure, which is signed by the CAO, which provides more of the day-to-day details of things like how things are done. This is the overall strategic piece that provides the power for the CAO to then do the functional mechanisms of how the testing is done and so on.
Other questions or comments? Deputy Warden.
Thank you. This isn't being decided today, this is.
It's being recommended as it's being given a 7-day notice to the council meeting in October.
So we have a month.
I won't be voting for this recommendation. I think that there's going to be a lot come out in the courts coming up. I think Annapolis County will be leaving themselves up for lawsuits in a lot of this. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Campbell, did you want to respond to that comment?
I don't want to certainly dispute the comment that was made, but there is a piece of information that might be helpful, and that is that I believe the CAO mentioned last week we're dealing with an extremely small number of employees that are unvaccinated, like single digit. And I'm not sure if that matters.
Councillor Bartow?
Seems how I've just got a rule of thumb for myself that, I'm not voting necessarily on something if I don't have all the information, and I have haven't had a chance to read through the whole thing, whether it's straightforward or not. If we move this along for the 7-day notice and find something afterwards in the fine print, can we modify it after we give the motion for notification at this point?
That's for me to respond, actually, Ms. Campbell. Yes, it'll come before, if this is approved today, then it'll come before council in October as moved forward. At that point in time, any council member will be able to move an amendment to the policy that comes before council, and it can be debated at that council meeting and then either approved or not.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay. Councillor Connell?
I'll be voting for it. I really was disappointed last week or last time we had a report from the province, when they were putting it over on essential services, mandating being able to put a policy in place, like a restaurant and stuff like that, and leaving it in our hands to, they didn't say we had to police it, but what we should be doing when people come through our door. But yet I could go to the grocery store and they had nothing. I honestly think the province should grow some and make it mandatory and stop putting it over on small businesses to have to make a policy. If it's affecting people's lives and they're trying to get a handle on this and trying to get it so we can go back to some normalcy, stop the using small business for their mandates. Do it themselves. I mean, we're doing it as a county or attempting to do something as a county. Other small businesses are forced into doing something because of what is mandated, some things by the province. But like I said, when they pull different groups of businesses apart, make one do one thing and the others not do anything, it makes it challenging. So I think the province should step up to the plate and do their part too.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Councillor LeBlanc?
Well, I guess I have more of a comment. I see this as a twofold, and I agree the government should probably help us out in deciding this thing and putting it clear on paper. But if we do it as a county, it's not to, I don't see it as to penalize somebody to have, or shame somebody to get. I see it as we have people that went and are vaccinated, and we have people for whatever reason that are not. But it's basically to, what I see it as protection for both sides, and to kind of make things a little bit better so that people might not, make comments unnecessarily against one another. That's the way I see it. It's just so people have choices. I know that the testing that might be mandated, but it's also to protect the other ones that are vaccinated and to give them some calmness, I guess, is basically what I see.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire.
Sir, thank you. Under 5.3, it says if an employee is not vaccinated, the employee must disclose in writing to the employer the reason for not being vaccinated. I'm wondering if we should be looking at that a little bit tighter. It should be, shouldn't it be physician's note, or it just can't be a written something from the employee? Just leaves it a little bit vague.
Can you point out where it is in 5.3 that you're reading that?
First sentence in 5.3 on 1 of 2.
Yeah, sorry, what was that?
First sentence.
First sentence?
5.3.
Okay, and what was your comment again now that I've read it?
So I would expect it to be a note from a physician as opposed to just a written note from the employee themselves. It's just too vague.
I just took it as it could be from the employee to disclose in writing the reason. I don't think it suggests anything from a doctor, just reading the words. Anything else?
But I think
Councillor Hudson? Councillor Hudson?
Yes, just one quick comment. I think this policy is very important, I guess, from a couple of perspectives. Firstly, this is to protect the employee group, right? And, one employee from transmitting COVID-19 to a fellow employee. But the second reason why I think it's important is all our staff, and I think I can use the word all our staff, interact with the public. And so I think it's vaccination is very important from that perspective.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Councillor Prout.
Thank you. Just to echo other comments, I'll be supporting this. It gives us time to take a look and re-examine it, bring it back in October. I think it's a good policy. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Councillor Sheridan?
So just give them enough notice, say if the employees, they're pushing the passports now for the province. So would the employees have enough time before this is implemented to go and get their 2 vaccinations if they choose at this time? I'm just wondering if we're giving them enough time to be double vaccinated or instead of doing the rapid testing?
I'm having difficulty hearing in this room. You're questioning whether if an employee wants to get double vaccinated before the policy comes in, there'd be enough time to do it, is that?
Yes, that's correct.
What you were saying?
Time to do that?
it's only a month.
Yeah, I assume there are clinics where you can get vaccinated, but I don't know if 30 days is enough between the two. Ms. Campbell?
Probably it's important for me to note that this is intended to be an accommodation and an interim measure being provided until they can get fully vaccinated. No, having this come in would not provide time for a person who wished to get fully vaccinated to do so before the policy comes into effect. However, it does provide a mechanism of accommodation for a process that we fulfill until such time as they are fully vaccinated.
Right.
And I would stress the word accommodation. This is not meant to be a penalization for people. This is intended to be what do we do to try and keep everyone safe to the best of our ability.
Other questions or comments? Deputy Warden?
Thank you. From what I understand, you can still get COVID after you've had the shot. Not as bad. And the ones that are most at risk are the ones who haven't had the shot, the not vaccinated ones. I understand that. There are ways, as well that are coming out to protect yourself against the disease, COVID. And, the thing about it is, I know more folks that have had adverse reactions to the shot than people I've even heard of that had COVID. So in my perspective, in my world, I know more people. I don't know anybody, as a matter of fact. No, I shouldn't say that. I do know one person that's had COVID. He got it from traveling from the Middle East to Canada, back from an oil project. That's it. That's all I know. I'm not saying that there's not, but that's all I know in my world. But I know a lot of people who have had the shot, and I won't call it a vaccine because it's really not a vaccine, although they name it one. It's a vaccine for something, but not a vaccine for the COVID strain because they haven't isolated that. Yeah. So, but I've known more people that had adverse effects from it. Blood clots. People who have never really had a sick day in their life have had this, and people with pre-existing conditions have had some terrible effects from the shot. Thank you.
Councillor Bartow.
It doesn't say here anywhere, but do we have a record of who has their vaccines? and who does not. So that
You mean that you're asking, do we have a record who on staff has been vaccinated and who have not?
and I'm considering,
Is that your question?
yes, and I'm considering that
I think
council is staff as well.
I think that the answer is yes, we do. Okay?
Have you asked council?
Not yet.
So you don't have a complete list?
We have a list of all the employees, and we will be asking council, because these rules apply to council as well.
Yeah.
Not just
that was
staff.
my question. So if we're doing this, it should be everybody.
Correct.
Not just one portion. That's my point.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote on the policy as drafted. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay, record it, please.
One nay recorded. The next is the amendments to, it's already been read, to give 7-day notice for municipal council to amend AM 2.7.9 COVID-19 response policy as circulated. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Longmire seconds. And that's, now, Ms. Campbell, I see on the second last page, there's a part that's highlighted with an arrow beside it. Is that the only change to the existing policy? You're nodding, yes, it is. And I'll just read it for the benefit of the public. It says, all such information regarding personal or health circumstances of any employee or their family shall be kept strictly confidential. So is there any discussion about that amendment to our policy? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
Record it, please.
Sorry, did the deputy warden vote against that?
Yes.
He did. Okay. There's one other item that failed to make the agenda, and that's at the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee regarding the tree line matter that we dealt with last, was it Committee of the Whole or?
PAC.
PAC.
Committee of the Whole last
Yeah.
week.
Would someone move that we amend the order of the day to deal with that matter? Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Since there's not a background paper that was in the package with respect to this matter, I'm going to ask Mr. Dunphy just to explain. No, actually, Mr. Dunphy, I'll wait and have the motion read, and then we'll ask you to explain it. And the deputy warden doesn't have it in front of him, so I'm going to ask the clerk to read it that was drafted by Mr. Dunphy.
Following the full consideration of the related goals, objectives, and policies of the Bridgetown Municipal Planning Strategy, and upon receiving favorable recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee, I move to recommend that Municipal Council give first reading to amend the Bridgetown Land Use Bylaw zoning map to rezone a vacant lot known as 431 Granville Street in the community of Bridgetown from the residential light density R1 zone to the highway commercial C2 zone to permit the development of a construction equipment and trailer rental facility. There will be a second motion following that to set a public hearing on October 19th at 11 o'clock with the location to be announced.
Would someone make that motion? Deputy Warden moves. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hudson seconds. Now, Mr. Dunphy, would you like to just explain where we are in the process here?
Thank you, Warden. When we step through any municipal planning strategy or land use bylaw amendment, there is a process that's dictated by the Municipal Government Act. In this case, it was an amendment to a land use bylaw, specifically the zoning map. And the last time when PAC met, there was a staff report that set out the outline of the process. So after notice of first reading, that's the notice of first reading where council is advertising now to the world. They're gone a little step beyond considering the document. Now they're advertising that they, if everything goes well, they fully intend to amend the municipal plan, and in this case, the zoning bylaw map. As part of that, PAC or council has held a public hearing. That public hearing is slightly different from a planning advisory committee meeting in the sense that it must be advertised for 2 weeks. And one of the ones must be 14 days before the date of the public hearing. As the clerk mentioned, October 19th, usually at 11 o'clock in the council chambers. These things have to be advertised, as I said, for 2 consecutive weeks. To get the ad in the paper, I usually have it done by Thursday. So one of the background parts of it is we really need to know where your public hearing is going to be held so I can advertise that and invite the applicant. Thank you, Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Dunphy. Discussion or comments? We dealt with this at the PAC. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
So the next motion is to set a public hearing. It's a separate motion to set the public hearing.
Do you have it?
Yes. To set a public hearing on October 19th at 11 o'clock with the location to be announced. So you have to discuss right now whether you're going to have your committee of the whole and council here, because we don't know what the province is going to do with phase 5. This location has been booked for committee of the whole and council in October.
Sorry, you're going to have to say that again about... Okay.
When the province was going to announce phase 5,
Yeah.
it would have allowed you to move back into council chambers. That didn't happen. This location has been booked for committee of the whole and council in October. If you wish to keep this as your location, even if phase 5 opens council chambers, if it's booked here, Albert has to advertise it here.
I see. So the advertisement has to set out the location
Yes.
of the council
Public
of the
hearing,
public
yes.
hearing, so people know when to come.
Yes.
And we can't wait till October the 5th to
That's
make that
correct.
decision.
That's right.
Because he has to advertise in
Yeah.
two
Correct.
weeks.
So you need to decide today whether or not the province opens. If they do or don't open when they had the revised date of October 5th, we'll need to know if, and that allows us to leave the equipment here as well for committee of the whole and council in October.
So basically, this requirement under the Planning Act is forcing us to meet here in October, even if we're at
Sort of,
stage
yes.
5, right?
Yes. Basically.
Discussion? Councillor Hudson?
Yes, can the location be either or?
It has to be clear under the Act. It has to be clearly stated where the public hearing will be.
Okay, so it can't be either or.
No, it has to be, people have to know
It has to be specific.
where to go for the
Yes.
public hearing. I was looking forward to going back to our council chambers. Councillor Sheridan?
I think it's pretty safe to book it here from what's happening in New Brunswick. I don't think we're going to be opening up that quick, so.
Oh, don't say that. Councillor Connell, did you want to say something?
Well, why are we not going back to Bridgetown Legion?
Bridgetown Legion has started using their building.
Okay.
And every time, we could go back there, but it takes a day to break down and then another day to set up, to put the equipment all back in.
No, that's about it.
So what I'm going to do now, that was a good early discussion. I'm going to ask the clerk to read the motion. I'll ask the deputy warden to make the motion. I'll ask somebody to second it, and then I'll ask for further discussion again after we put it on the table. So would you like to read what you have?
Sorry, that just was... I'll add it for here.
Yeah.
To set a public hearing on October 19th at 11 o'clock a.m. at the Champlain Hall.
And Deputy Warden, would you move that? So moved, seconded by Councillor Longmire. So We had an introductory discussion about this. Any further discussion? We're basically fixing, because of the requirement of the Planning Act, we're basically fixing our coming back here in October, even if we're open at stage 5. But sitting here today, I don't see any alternative other than delaying the advertisement. How long would we have to delay that, Mr. Dunphy, if we waited till October the 5th and then we put the ad out? Is that, could we put out the ad in time to make the council meeting in our council chambers?
Unfortunately, I don't think we could do that. 2 reasons: it must be advertised for 2 consecutive weeks, where before, and then because it's a weekly newspaper, I pretty much have to write the ad this week to make sure it comes out in those prescribed dates and still meet the timelines set out in the Municipal Government Act of what a public hearing must be advertised towards. Your only other option would have been is to not hold the public hearing this next month, but if you held it over, the only danger of that is there is a processing requirement in the Municipal Government Act that says you have to hold it with, you have to have the public hearing within 120 days, and we're really pushed that boundary, so we're sort of bound to this one now.
Are there questions or comments? Councillor Prout?
I think we should plan on spending those 2 meetings here in Cornwallis Park. I don't, you know, we're at the vagaries, or we're just at this point that I agree with Councillor Sheridan. As much as I'd like to see things move up to phase 5, I don't see it happening, given the way the numbers appear to be going or trending at the moment.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Bartow, you just made it under the wire there.
Just testing. No, I was just wondering if there's any conflict where we're booking 3 things for 11 o'clock.
Oh, that's normal. I tell you, when I went to court, everything was scheduled for 9:30, and if you were down the list, you get to watch everybody else.
Perfect.
So
It's like getting your cable installed.
yeah. Okay, I'll call for the vote with respect to the publication of the public hearing with respect to the tree line matter. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Is there anything else on the public portion of the meeting today, Madam Clerk?
No, thank you.
Mr. Dick?
Oh, wait.
Oh, Ms. Campbell?
I'm sorry for flying over. I know I just get to the in camera, but it occurs to me that there was 7-day notice given in regard to Truth and Reconciliation Day in August. And in order for us to have a decision on whether staff are to be given a holiday, there would have to be a decision on that amendment today, subsequent to the 7-day notice at the August council meeting.
Yes, I mean, yeah. It was in the package.
We have, no, I think this is the motion, Ms. Campbell, this is the motion you'd like to have read. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the clerk to read it. I guess I have to amend the order of the day first.
Yes.
So what, you've heard Ms. Campbell explain that it's the, essentially adding the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation to the list of paid holidays in our policy. And it was, 7-day notice was given at the last meeting in August. So I'll entertain a motion to amend the order of the day to put this matter on the agenda. Moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Bartow. Discussion? Seeing, Deputy Warden.
Thank you. Just that I kind of forget, how many paid holidays does that bring us up to now?
Can we just put this on the floor for, I'm just calling for the, changing the order of the day.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. So I'm going to ask the clerk to read the motion, proposed motion, and then I'll ask the deputy clerk to move it and look for a seconder.
It's regarding AM 2.1.3 statutory and paid holidays policy. In accordance with 7-day notice having been given at August 18th, 2021 Municipal Council, I move that Municipal Council amend AM 2.1.3 statutory and paid holidays policy by replacing direct with non-union in section 1 and adding National Day for Truth and Reconciliation to the list of paid holidays in subsection 4.1.
So moved.
Deputy Warden moves. Is there a seconder? Councillor Longmire seconds. Discussion? Deputy Warden.
Thank you. So to reiterate, how many paid holidays does that actually bring us up? Not the statutory ones. We have the regular 5 statutory holidays every year that everybody has to pay. But how many does this, through you, Warden, does this bring us up to?
Does anybody on staff know the answer to that question? Ms. Campbell is trying to find the answer. Go ahead.
So from the Labor Standards Code, there are 6. New Year's Day, Nova Scotia Heritage Day, Good Friday, Canada Day, Labor Day, Christmas Day. And then other paid holidays under this policy, there are currently 7. I'll read them to you.
7 more, you say?
Yes.
So that would make 6 and 7 is 13?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
Other questions or comments? Councillor LeBlanc?
Being she had the days listed there in front of her, she can read them. Maybe Ms. Campbell could read the 7 days we're talking about. Would that be 7 with this one or 8 with this one? Would be 8.
Go ahead, Ms. Campbell.
It would be 8 with this one. The current ones in the policy that are paid holidays are Easter Monday, Victoria Day, Natal Day, Thanksgiving, Remembrance Day, under certain circumstances, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day. And this would be the 8th.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Connell?
And wasn't this policy to more reflect the fact is that the non-unionized ones were not getting paid, but our unionized ones under the union agreement would automatically get paid it? So
That's my understanding.
Split our staff, that some
Yeah.
were getting paid, some wasn't.
Is that accurate, Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Yes, she says it is. Thank you for that. Anything else? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. I'll ask this...
Was there one nay vote?
Sorry?
When you called the nays, were there any nay votes?
Oh, sorry. Opposed? I don't think so. Oh, there was one, was there? Sorry.
Recorded, please.
Yeah.
Recorded, sorry, Council? Yes.
As I said a minute ago, is there anything else to deal with in the public portion of this meeting? Seeing none? Okay, well then, I will entertain a motion to go in camera in accordance with sections 22(2)A, acquisition, sale, lease, and security of municipal property, and F, litigation or potential litigation of the Municipal Government Act. Would someone make that motion? Moved by Councillor Sheridan, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Unless there's any other business to take care of today, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.